Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yay, let's go. Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. You know, I've been asking for a week now, how long is the federal government going to pretend like they don't know what's going on with these drones? And we don't have an answer for that. Maybe the federal government's appetite for pretending they don't know what these drones are about hasn't been satiated and won't be for a long time. I'm starting to lean toward it's like probably a bunch of dudes. Some of them got a drone at Best Buy or I don't know, whatever the modern what replaced Radio Shack? Fry's is gone too. Wherever you get drones, they got them off Amazon. Yeah, it's all gone, right? It's all they ordered it online. How about that? I'm starting to think it's just a bunch of kids playing around more so than anything, following around boats and stuff. Let's ask Scott Baradell from Idea Grow. Scott, if you had to peg it right now and put some chips on a square, what would you say the drones are coming from?
Well, I mean, I think they're definitely more real than, the old Elvis sightings we used to have, but I don't know that they're any more dangerous.
Well, that's the part that I find amusing is people are like, we've got to do something about this. Well, why? Has anyone been hurt? Has anybody stealing property or spying on your daughter, changing clothes? I mean, has anything negative happened from these drones? I haven't seen anything like that.
No, nothing yet. In fact, I think the most negative thing has been some reaction to it. The government said that you've had more people pointing lasers up at airplanes and things that are apparently dangerous. And I think that's one reason why the FAA today said they're barring drone flights over utility locations, about 22 different locations in New Jersey, maybe just to reduce the hysteria over this because, sometimes the reaction is worse than the thing to begin with.
All right, I wanted to run this by you, Scott. World-renowned theoretical physicist Dr. Michio Kaku. Do you know this guy, the Asian guy with gray hair that's always on Science Channel or Discovery Channel or sometimes History Channel? You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I'm going to look him up.
All right. Well, he was on Dan Abrams Live last night, and he was saying the reason why we're having this drone problem is they've removed some restrictions on drones back in September. Let me play this for you real quick.
Well, in my opinion, this whole crisis took place actually in September of last year. At that point, the government made a historic decision to make it legal for people who own a drone to fly them at night. Before, there were restrictions on the use of flying drones, but after that September decision by the government, everybody began to say, I have a drone.
All right. I hate this attitude, but I've been hearing it a lot, Scott. Oh, how dare we let the Americans fly their drones at night? That's the problem, is allowing the Americans to have their freedom. But we should be restricting them so we don't have to see what? Suspicious blinky lights in the sky?
Yeah, I guess we can't have nice things. Well, I think the two big things here that are related and that we talk about and deal with all the time is this is spurred by the fact that there's so little trust in the government now. And, we had a president who everyone said was, at least in the government, said was fine, who obviously wasn't fine. We found out in the debate, and that sparks the whole right side of the political spectrum to not trust anything this government says. And then in terms of polarization, you've got all these Republican politicians who are using, they will use anything. And so, we're going to have to get the state and local officials involved because we can't trust the federal government to handle this right. And you've got to think that the truth is this is all a political furor and political opportunism more than people actually trying to solve a problem or to calm people down. The politicians these days tend to like to stoke people's fears rather than calm them down.
Well, and that's one of the things that makes me roll my eyes at that last little soundbite is this is your initial reaction. Somebody feels unsafe, so let's go restrict the freedom of everyone else so this one person has the perception of safety. Can we at least let someone be hurt by a drone before we start calling on restrictions?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think it's silly.
All right. I'm also thinking about from the point of view of someone who's in marketing, like you, I'm in marketing. Can we get some James Show drones up there? Maybe they could have some banners that say, listen to WBAP. Is there some way we could take advantage of this hysteria?
I don't know. We're going to work on that. Well, let's take that one offline.
Well, look, we can get a whole swarm of drones, and then we'll make them spell out the James Show in the air, and then when we'll hit another button, and we'll have a macro where it spells out Idea Grove, so they can go find you, and we'll get some free pub out of it.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Yeah. So y'all get me about 28 drones for Christmas. Scott,
28? We got it. I got you.
All right. Scott, how do they find you outside of WBAP?
My agency is called Idea Grove, and you can get us at ideagrove.com.
Who needs to call that? Why would I want to call Idea Grove? What do y'all do?
We do PR and marketing. We actually worked with a drone company once. We don't currently, but we know a little bit about them.
All right. Well, let's get some James Show drones up there. Thank you very much, Scott Baradell.
All right.
Appreciate it, sir. Yeah, so we still don't know who the drones are, but you and I are looking at each other and kind of rolling our eyes saying, look, I don't know who it is, but we know the government knows who it is. And so the idea that they're not telling us, it's very patronizing, isn't it? Like, oh, I can't be trusted with such delicate information. Oh, no, the American public would be thrown into a hysteria if we knew the drones were coming from, because whatever the source is, the military, even if it was Chinese nationals who bought up farmland in Texas trying to fly over our military bases, fine, go shoot them down or whatever. We wouldn't care. We wouldn't go start rioting in the streets and burning buildings down. No, the drone secrecy it's not. It doesn't even make me mad. It's just annoying. It's like being treated like a baby.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Yeah, that's his golf course in Florida. New Jersey. He's making a fun little joke there. Coming up next, a fella on the Fort Worth Council was caught on a secret recording referring to the mayor and another councilman as racist. And now that the tapes come out, who's in bigger hot water? The guy that said it or the ladies being accused? 800-288-9227. That's next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Oh, hey there. Welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Sorry for the delay there. I was just taking some marching orders from Elon Musk. Because he controls us all now. We don't think for ourselves. We can't look at a spending bill and go, oh, that's a bad bill. No, we make our decisions based on whether or not Elon Musk tweeted about it or not. That's right. We don't actually have anything to debate in the content of the bill. We're just easily led automatons from some autistic South Africaner. Did I say that right? Afrikaner? Well, he's an American now, so screw it. Yeah, he's African American. That's actually true. Well played, Garrett. If you want to jump in on the show, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, let me tell you this goofy story real quick before I get back to the real news. This one blew my mind. I saw that there's a fella from Dallas named OJ who just got a prison sentence for selling drugs out of the hotel he managed. I'm sorry, motel he managed. So that's the headline. I'm like, oh my goodness. Someone named their kid OJ. Did they name their kid after OJ? Actually, yes. His name is Orenthal James. Now, OJ Simpson, Orenthal James Simpson. This is Orenthal James Vance, according to WFAA.com. He just got a 75-month prison sentence yesterday for being the property manager at an extended stay America hotel here in Dallas. And it was just a hub for drug activity, I suppose. I don't know. But the real question is, what is this fella's age? Because if this guy was born in the mid-90s, then he would be named after O.J. Simpson after he butchered his wife. Or, suspectedly, reportedly, whatever you want to say. But, bro, you named your kid after O.J.? Even if this is before. You named your kid after a running back. You named your kid after an athlete, period. People do. I guess people do that. But of all the running backs, O.J., how unlucky is this guy, though? How unlucky are these people who get bad names? Because I always try and separate the people from their bad names and realize this doesn't say anything bad about them. It just says something bad about their parents. But this poor guy's parents, I kind of feel sorry for them because up when he was born, because this guy's 44, if you must know, and that makes all the difference in the world because when he was born, O.J. Simpson was still a likable guy. He was a hell of a running back. He was on his way to the Hall of Fame. He was in Naked Gun. He was in the series. He was in Hertz commercials. Everybody loved O.J. Well, until he tried to saw off his wife's head in the nearest busboy in the vicinity. But, this is probably the only one. There's probably a handful of people out there who were big O.J. Simpson fans who named their kid after him. But I bet you the number of babies named after O.J., I bet you it fell off pretty sharply somewhere around the mid-90s, I would bet. I bet you fewer kids are named Orenthal, James, whatever, after about, 95-ish. But you got to be careful naming your kids after someone because this could have happened to a lot of people. This could have happened to, like, if you named your kid after Diddy or Puff Daddy or Sean Combs or whatever, or Sean Carter. Jay-Z's in trouble now. Ooh, the two Seans. Oh, don't name him Sean. No, I'm just kidding. Sean's out there. Don't at me. That was just a joke. You're innocent. What about someone who might, but there's probably somebody about my age. They were named after Bruce Jenner. That's got to be a tough one. Your name's Bruce Jenner Parker? Ouch. Do they have to change their name to Caitlyn? No? Is that what happens with it? I also want you to just try and fathom for a minute the mathematics here. I don't know if you took a statistics class in college, but how hard would it be for two dudes named Orenthal James to both end up in prison? I know it's almost not believable, right? Because how do you have more than one person with that name? That's Orenthal is an amazingly rare name. James, not so much. Actually, one of the top 10 names every year. I know, I'm generic. I got it. Maybe it's the name though. Maybe there's something about that name that just yearns for prison. Maybe they can't stand not being in prison. You named your kid Orenthal James. It's just a matter of time. All right, my next story. WFAA has a great story about Chris Nettle, Fort Worth councilman, got caught on a hot mic calling Maddie Parker, no relation, by the way, no relation. Maddie Parker, the mayor of Fort Worth, calling her and another woman racist. Let's get the blueprint of the story here.
Chris Nettles has been a council member in Fort Worth since 2021, but really playing defense on Monday. And Mayor Maddie Parker saying that the city deserves better after an audio recording surfaced online of Nettles calling Parker and some fellow council members racist. Take a listen.
Then I did. I called every Republican a racist. Sure did. And we'll say it again. Yeah. Donald Trump, Michael Crane, Maddie Parker, Carlos Flores.
This recording, Nettles says, is roughly 2 years old, posted by a former colleague who was part of his 2021 election campaign who clearly doesn't like him any longer. Nettles saying in a statement Monday that the recording was made during a private conversation without his consent and that he was grappling with the realization that the council would not have the votes to approve the creation of a police oversight board toward the end of 2022, adding that, I want to be clear, I do not believe that my fellow council members are racist. I do, however, feel that there are systemic processes in our city that can and should be improved to ensure fairness for all residents. Crane, Flores, and Parker are still serving alongside Nettles on the council. Crane told me Nettles has reached out to apologize over the issue. We couldn't reach Flores, but Maddie Parker a little bit more stern, saying leadership means you attack problems, not people. Fort Worth deserves better. Now, Nettles will be up for re-election next year, and he said publicly on Monday that this is the beginning of an effort to oust him from the council. In Tarrant County, I'm Matt Howerton.
Ooh, that gives me a lot to think about. Because number one, you have the almost stereotypical at this point, accusation of racism on the part of the political opposition from a Democrat saying, oh, they're Republicans, they're racist, that's why they oppose me. Meanwhile, has Maddie Parker ever said, hey, y'all, I'm racist? Ask Maddie Parker if she's racist. Has she ever said yes? Does she go to city council meetings and just drop N-bombs all over the place? No, it's a ridiculous accusation, and at some point we knew the society would get exhausted from it, and I think we're getting close to that point. Because someone released a tape of him calling her racist with the intent of hurting Chris Nettles. I'm not so sure that would have worked 5 years ago. It definitely wouldn't have worked during the Obama years. We were so just sharpened and razor focused against racism that the accusation would have been what you're scared of. But the guy making the accusation is the one who had to apologize. I thought that was kind of cool. That almost sounds like progress to me. But I think a lot of people are waking up. You know, on the other side of the aisle, it's only a matter of time, you would think, before some of these people start to notice, like, well, you're only bringing up race on certain stories and you're ignoring it on other stories. And I'm starting to see a very dishonest pattern that pops up here. Like I saw the headline today where American Airlines had to settle with and it was in the headline. It has to settle with the 3 black men who were kicked off of a flight. Oh, black's in the headline. That's interesting. Well, what about in some of these other stories? Is black in the headline? When we have the parents of the Mesquite 9-month-old girl who starved to death, they're charged with capital murder. Do we get the racial description on the parents? Oh, no. You don't want to highlight the fact that the dad's of African-American descent? What about the Ellis County detention officer that was beaten to death by an inmate? We don't want to point out his race either, or maybe the race of the victim. Oh, that doesn't fit the narrative. So you only bring it up when it fits the narrative. Well, what about the Cedar Hill policeman who tried to solicit sex from a woman who was arrested for a DWI? Oh, we didn't mention the race in that one either. Well, why not? Why do we only do it when it makes some people look good and makes other people look like victims? That's odd. It's almost like they're exploiting previous racial tensions to further their political cause now. That doesn't sound very ethical at all now, does it? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Progress is being made every day. Things are getting better. We're getting closer to it, y'all. It's not perfect, but it is getting better. Coming up next, you'll hear some tips on dealing with holiday stress from Dr. Patrick Porter on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Dan Bongino. Welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You know, I didn't realize, I've heard this before, but I forget easily that some of you hate the holidays. Some of you hate going home and visiting your family. I think most of us, for the majority of the people listening right now, family's a net positive, and you look forward to going home and seeing these people you don't get to see all year, or just on scant special occasions like this one. Get to see how much the kiddos have grown up since last you saw them. Oh my goodness, who's had a growth spurt? Oh, so-and-so looks so different. Oh, your nephew's getting facial hair now. It's all hilarious stuff. Some people, though, get stressed the heck out. And I don't know. It's my next guest, Dr. Patrick Porter, at some point, don't you just recommend, if your family stresses you out that much, maybe you shouldn't go home for Christmas, or maybe just swing by, exchange gifts, and get the hell out?
Yeah. Why subject yourself to that if that's the way it is? But I think that maybe they might want to work on some socialization skills because, they are their family. So I don't know.
Well, that's a good point, too. I've had a similar observation where if everybody else in the family gets along but you, maybe not the problem's not with your family.
Yeah, my dad used to tell us, what's the common denominator?
Right?
Look at that. Exactly.
Well, good. So I don't have a doctor that's automatically saying, "Oh, of course it's their fault. You're doing just fine." How would you recommend, though? Because I see this go in both directions. Younger people having a hard time relating to older people, but also older generations having a harder time to having fun with the younger generations. How do you bridge that gap, Patrick?
Well, I think the main thing is to look at, there's something called neuroplasticity and neural pruning that happens. So when you think on the neurological side, if they're associating all the negative experiences with those people, or if they're basically associating, like with the elderly and what's going on, there's a saying that all unhappiness stems from unfavorable comparisons. So we have to look at that and say, hey, you have to be okay with yourself. And it's hard to do, but you let other people be who they are. And I think families really push that boundary because we want to fix them, or we want them to say what we want to say, or maybe they didn't give you the love you wanted, or maybe there was some other things. But again, as long as life happens to you instead of through you, you're going to be unhappy. So we have to look at life. You go in there, you want to bring the Christmas cheer, you want to bring the holiday cheer, depending upon what you're celebrating. And the whole thing is that it's about you. It's never about anyone else. It's as long as you're putting the blame of your happiness. I always tell people, never give away your remote control to another person. You can control if you're happy or sad or mad or upset. The circumstances never cause it. And there's a saying that says, when you change the thing you're looking at, when you change your attitude about the thing you're looking at, the thing you're looking at actually changes. So it's an internal issue. It's not an external issue. I mean, if this is the way they've always acted your whole life, and obviously if you were abused and there were bad things, why would you want to subject yourself to that? But if everything on the surface was good and everybody else got along, then it's probably about you and something going on psychologically for you. And there are ways you can work on that, obviously, but it's not, if they haven't started yet, I don't know if it's going to help them this holiday season, but you can get working on it now, because those people that have the most friends are the ones that are most flexible, that have the best time. If you're so rigid and fixed in what you think, then life's going to be pretty hard on you.
Yeah, and I've have similar pushback against especially younger people who are having trouble in the dating scene, like that date was boring, or, there wasn't any spark or any excitement or whatever. It's like, well, did you tell any jokes? Did you bring any entertainment to the table? Maybe you're the boring one. Maybe, if you find some social situations uncomfortable, maybe you should be the one who resolves it. Yeah.
Well, there's a saying that you attract what you have within yourself. You can't see in another person what you don't have in yourself. So if you're looking for someone like that, you've got to be the best version of yourself to show up at that date. If you're expecting, those are how codependent relationships start. If you're out there looking for someone else to make you happy, you're going to be very disappointed, because everyone, and this isn't because they're self-centered, it's just the nature of our mind. We are, they call it WIFM, what's in it for me, right? So yeah. Everyone's sitting there going, when you're on a date, you want to show up as your best self. Not that you have to entertain them. I mean, if you're naturally telling jokes and doing those things, but there's a saying also, when you're on a date, there's 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should be listening twice as much as you talk. And when you listen, they're going to give you cues on what they like. Like, you should be talking about, what do you like in your job? What do you find entertaining? What's your motivations? If you start getting them talking about themselves to you, they're going to love you. If you talk to them about you, they're going to think you're a self-centered, egomaniac. So these are all. If you look at somebody who's really good at dating, and there are people out there that are, Don Juans and things, they don't sit and talk and brag about themselves. That person is talking to them. And then when it's the right time, you drop in your comments or your suggestions. These are all communication skills. And most people don't realize communication is 88% nonverbal.
Yep.
So how are you showing up? One of the best things I teach people when I'm helping them in the dating scene is only talk when the other person is breathing out. And this has something to do with the nervous system, because when they're breathing, when you talk, and you can kind of monitor this for yourself, and the listeners can as well, as long as you're talking, you're going to find other people hold their breath. The longer they hold their breath, the more fear, the more anxiety, the more stress they're going to have. The more they talk, the more relaxed they are, the more open they are, the more they're in that parasympathetic state where they're open to receiving, they're more joyful, they're more happy, those kind of things.
Well, also, I've always, whether it's a Christmas party or a first date or any other social situation, if you want to put everyone at ease, tell a joke. You got a couple jokes in your back pocket? I've always got jokes that I can just pop out at any second.
Right, and that's important too. If you like jokes, you want to attract somebody who likes jokes. So if they're not going to be that person, for instance, if you are an auto mechanic and you meet somebody who's a neuroscientist, maybe you're not going to have a lot in common. That's why on these dating sites, they're trying to match up the commonalities. So when you do go on that date, you at least have something to talk about and think about and explore. So, if it's a blind date, of course, you're going to have to find that out for yourself, Right. All right.
Tell them about BrainTap real quick, Patrick.
BrainTap is a brain fitness tool that helps to reduce or eliminate stress. We have studies that they can find out at braintap.com, and some free tips on how, especially during the holidays, if we can lower your stress, you're going to find everybody else is less stressed around you. We've all walked in on our parents when they're having an argument. We can feel the tension in the air. You want to walk in a calm, relaxed, jovial kind of person that people want to be around. And it starts first by eliminating our physiological stress, and that will lead to a better psychological stress experience as well. And that's what we specialize in. But we have over 2,000 different protocols that they can read about, learn about, some free tips on the line, and help them to get through this holiday.
But it comes with a headset?
Well, if they buy the headset, there's an app too. We have a headset that uses light, sound, and vibration. They can read about it online. And this actually puts you into that state. So when we talk about even music, a lot of people probably know when they listen to the kind of music they like, it changes their mood. So we use that to actually begin to help them process. And I wrote 9 books, but the one book is called Discover the Language of the Mind, where I talk about how we process information. And we were never taught how to think. We were only taught what to think in school. So as adults, we have to figure that out. Once you figure out how you're thinking, then you can make those small changes that make your life a much better place to be.
Well, that was interesting. Dr. Patrick Porter, his website, braintap.com. There's also a drpatrickporter.com. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Coming up next, at the end of the month, in just like 12 days, there's going to be a whole new slate of laws that are coming into effect that affect us here in Texas. I'll let you know a couple of the ones you should probably be aware of in about 4 minutes on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there. Welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. A whole slew of new laws go into effect on January 1st, 2025, which sounds like the future. Sounds like Back to the Future 2. Sounds like flying cars. Sounds like a robot maid. No, man, that's not where we're at all. Right now, we're arguing over whether or not peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are racist and who gets to go to the bathroom where, like it's the 1950s. And I always have a problem doing these segments. I feel obligated to do them because I'm not supposed to just sit here and tell you jokes and entertain you. I'm also supposed to pass along information that affects you, that you need to know. There's like a service element to WBAP. And the thing that bothers me this year, as every year, how many laws were passed versus repealed? Because there's a great part of the discussion that was had at the beginning of this country about how we need to keep government small because it is immoral to make more laws than one person can know. Because if you do that, then you're holding them accountable for things that it's impossible for one person to know. This is an inherently immoral system. And that was kind of the idea behind, let's come up with just a few things so that anyone can understand these concepts and kind of, at least if they don't know the specifics, they should generally be able to get the context of the boundaries of what's legal and not legal. So whenever we have, the new year comes around and there's 28 new laws that we have to follow. Well, did 28 get repealed? And what happens if we just keep adding laws every year but not repealing a similar amount? Well, at some point, you're going to get past the point, and we're way past that now. There's 70,000 pages in the tax code. That's over 1 million words. That's like twice the amount of words of all the Shakespeare that was written that we have. Shakespeare's entire canon is like half the size of the tax code. It's impossible for one person to follow all those laws. So that makes it inherently immoral. So that's always in the back of my mind when I do these segments. I got it. Period, point blank, end of story. But now let's actually address these new rules that you have to follow. Well, a lot of them don't apply to you, but let me go ahead and get the good one out of the way. Starting January 1st, 2025, something I have asked for ever since I've been in talk radio. So I've been asking for this for over 22 years. No more inspection stickers. Oh, I was always skeptical of the inspection sticker. Even little old libertarian James being like, well, why do we need this sticker? Well, we have to inspect it to make sure everything works properly. Well, if the brakes don't work properly, how did I get here? Okay? If my headlights don't work properly, how am I going to drive at night? And then you get the inspection sticker, and you're like, well, they tested your emissions, and they tested other things. And then on the way home from getting the inspection sticker, you'd get behind some old Studebaker or some old pickup truck that's just blowing smoke like Spy Hunter. Just like you're getting behind a smoke screen. Well, and the inspection sticker doesn't stop this guy from blowing smoke. So you just realize from natural deduction that the whole thing's a farce. But here's where it just got blown out of the water for the old James Parker experience. I had my first radio job was for a few years here in Dallas, 105.3, and then I was on an AM station for about a year, and then I got my first full-time job where I was doing the James Show for the first time. But I had to go to a really small market in Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere. It's like, oh God, I gotta go live in Woodward, Oklahoma. There's like 15,000 people. It's going to be a reverse culture shock. But hey, it's the first instance of the James Show, and that's where I first learned that there are places where you don't have to have an inspection sticker, and it was magical. I lived in Oklahoma for an entire year. No one ever got their car inspected. And you know what? People weren't running off the roads because their cars weren't working properly. They weren't running into elementary school buildings because their brakes pushed through. They weren't rolling around just blowing giant clouds of smoke behind them and polluting to the hilt. It was amazing. It's almost like I just got the perfect proof of this hypothesis that I've been carrying all along. So ever since then, it's been an open and shut case. Heck no, we don't need inspection stickers. What a scam. And so then I had to move to Louisiana where I had to do inspection stickers again. And every time I have to do it drives me insane. And we're Texas. Damn it, we're supposed to be so absurdly free it shocks the people around us. But we're not. We have this weird anti-freedom thing. And a lot of it comes from Team Red, where people are scared of gambling, or people scared of buying bourbon on a Sunday, or people are scared of the bingo halls getting out of control. Oh, man, it's so weird. And that's the crazy thing about going across state lines is you see how different it can be from state to state. Like one of the things I didn't like about Oklahoma, I had to trade in my inspection sticker, but they have wheat beer. Do you know they have wheat beer? In Oklahoma, the law says your regular old beer, it can only be 3.2% alcohol. If it's above that, it's considered a liquor, and it has to be sold at a liquor store or places that have a liquor license, and it has to be sold at room temperature in a package store. You have to buy, if you buy regular strength beer, it has to be at a liquor store and it has to be warm. What the hell's that about? I have no good answers for any of that. So you bye-bye vehicle inspection. That's pretty much the only one that you have to conform to on a regular basis. The rest of it's like clarifying a state law on criminal procedure, the San Antonio River Authority, more judicial districts, how schools are funded, the Texas Data and Privacy Security Act, all that good stuff. But bye-bye vehicle inspections, you will not be missed. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.